Hello, welcome back to another 5K tennis discussion. Today is Tuesday, June 18, 2019, show number 92. Hola, bienvenido a otra discusión de 5K tenis. Hoy es junio 18 de 2019 y estamos en el programa número 92.
Kind of like music to my ears right there. Man, I gotta hit pause on this camera and give her a little hug, that little Spanish hug. Love it when you do that. Man, it's tender spotting my knees. Knees get weak when I hear her speak that lovely Latin language. Oh, man. Whew. Soothe my soul. Let's go. Really like that. She should do that more. All right. Hopefully everyone has had a great and positive day. It has been quite a heavy rain-filled day today.
Sun's out.
Sun's out now, which means the courts have to dry, so we can go clean them a little bit later for lessons tomorrow, right?
Correct.
All right, so let's get right into today's show. Real quickly, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. It's always appreciated, and thanks so much for the past couple of days. It's been really fun in comments and meeting new people, and we're going to discuss that right off the bat, right off the get-go. Real quickly, an announcement to make for Wimbledon. As you all know, if you've been following this channel, we always do prize giveaways, tennis racket giveaway for tennis racket giveaways for finalist selections, and as well YTEX strings and apparel for our fantasy teams and other bets that we do through majors. And we will have new YTEX gear for Wimbledon, just as we have had for the rest of the majors over the past year, coming soon. So we look forward to a really action-packed fantasy team selection process moving into Wimbledon. I can't wait for that. So stay tuned for all the rules behind fantasy teams and our prize giveaways as we approach Wimbledon. And as always, thank you very much to YTEX Strings, especially personal friend Ivor Savage, who owns the company that believes in us to do what we do for fun, and he likes it as much to give us stuff to give away. So again, stay tuned for Wimbledon. All right. Real quickly, we want to start out this show on behalf of one new viewer who has put a lot of time into watching our shows going back an entire year, and that is a shout out to Yuri Raz. What's up? I chatted with Yuri today, and he helped us remember where we came from. He's new to the channel, but watched a lot of our old shows and reminded us we've gotten a lot better since we began, right?
Yes.
But at the same time, don't forget where you came from type thing. He was reading that, or he was listening that in some of our early shows, we would mention new viewers, and maybe we have gotten behind on doing so. So we're going to talk about that for a minute right now, okay? Number one, on the last show, we did 12 rapid-fire questions, and I wanted to mention viewer Curling Tennis, who is actually active in the curling world.
Yes, interesting. I learned about curling, what was it, 2 years ago when the
Olympics? Yeah, the Winter Olympics.
And they were showing a lot of curling. I never knew what it was, and it was pretty exciting to watch.
Curling is one of those sports, if you don't know what it is, and I'm sure that a lot of you or all of you do, but it's very a precise strategic game where you are kind of sliding a weight of ice or a weight across the ice, and then you are trying to gain points by landing this, I'm not sure of the term for the actual chunk of weight that slides across the ice, but you compete for points at the opposite end of each kind of ice runway, which is really cool to watch in the Olympics, in the Winter Olympics, by the way.
Definitely, yes.
However, one of our rapid-fire questions on the last show, which we do read your answers, was, what is your favorite sport to watch besides tennis? He said curling. I guess I should have gathered that with his name, Curling Tennis, but it didn't register at that point in time. But what are your thoughts on curling? Are there any other curling fans out there? Are there other Winter Olympics enthusiasts that actually look forward to curling? I must say that in this house, we have stopped it during coverage on curling a couple of times.
Yes, we have.
Okay, interesting sport. Quite interesting. Love the answer. On the last show, and I'll put a link above at about 5 minutes and 8 seconds, where Rajesh Kumar, a longtime viewer that's been with us from the very get-go, with the likes of B-Dog, Simone Savanovic, Millennium 13, Furzio 9, Dark Knight, and a whole lot more. But he paid his debt to Carla for losing a bet with Carla during the French Open, and that bet was that Novak Djokovic was going to win the French Open. He did not, and Rajesh did pay his bet, and we really had a good time with that. So we'll put a link above there, and again, thank you, Rajesh, for always being a part of this show. Always and always have been, and always will be.
Yeah, Rajesh, my dad actually got to see it last night. Big on TV.
Yeah, so by the way, if you get a chance to look at Rajesh's debt payment, again, it should have flashed on top of the screen. Check it out. Rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 on his overall performance, his delivery, his execution, and you can be honest. Give him on a scale of 1 to 10 how good his debt payment was. And again, when we make bets, usually the winner or loser has to do something kind of on video for all of us to see that's kind of funny or whatever, okay? All right, next viewer shout-out goes to Wild Live 1. I really enjoyed talking with Wild Live 1 over the past couple of days. He and I were going back and forth with some NBA, some basketball stuff. I really enjoyed that. I'm a big Lakers fan, so we were talking about that. I really enjoyed that. As well, Wild Live 1 had a lot of good takes on the coaching from the stands, from the players and other people's perspectives. So on the last show, if you look at his comments, he has a really, really, really good take on coaching from the stands as we move forward into the U.S. Open, into the Australian Open. Another shout out to Flor Amor, from what I gather, in the Philippines or from the Philippines. And we had a good boxing conversation. If you follow this channel from the very get-go, since last year, Carl and I always make reference to boxing and how we actively use boxing gloves on a tennis court to train some of our students, not to hit one another, but to practice footwork and anticipation and ability to move. And I thought it was really fun to have a boxing conversation with Flor Amor. Furthermore, Flor Amor made a comment or a response to one of our rapid-fire questions on the last show. Again, the same one that Curling Tennis responded to, about your favorite sport to watch outside of tennis. And the response there was boxing. In parentheses, tennis but bloody. Exactly. I couldn't agree more. We preach boxing and footwork. We were both raised upon some of these footwork skills from a fighting standpoint as young tennis players, the both of us. Could not agree more. Anyway, I can go on and on about some of the lovely comments, but those were ones that kind of stood out, and we went back and forth for the past day or two since the last show. So to save all of you time, let's move forward. There were so many more of those comments, but again, I think Yuri made it a point to tell us that we should kind of stick to some of that because we used to do it, and I couldn't agree more. I eat my own words because we always say, "Don't forget where you come from."
That's right.
All right, let's go, Yuri. Appreciate that because that's real. All right. Moving forward into the show, and let's push through these topics quickly because we have a lot of them, and I've talked enough. I think the world wants to hear this person that just blew out some really good Spanish on us. I think we'd rather hear her talk, and I would agree. Topic number one we're going to get into is Paul Annacone. Yes, Paul Annacone, the previous coach of Roger Federer and many more players at that level, right? Teaming up with the young Taylor Fritz, the young 21-year-old American. That's a family man, has a child, a husband. So young family man that just lost today pretty badly. I think he was bageled in the second set, Taylor Fritz. So he was bageled in the second set. Taylor Fritz today was bageled in the second set against Bautista Agut. Tight first set, 7-6. He faded away in the second and was bageled 6-0. So the topic number one, can Paul Annacone make a difference in the young American tennis player's career?
I think so. Didn't Paul Annacone work with Federer?
Worked with
Federer.
He
worked with Sampras, I thought.
Worked with Sampras, yep.
Hewitt?
And many others.
Hewitt, I thought he worked with.
He worked with many others.
I think he can make a big difference. I mean, when I listen to him commentating on any of the Grand Slam matches, he always has great things to say. I mean, I actually agree with a lot of things he says.
Yeah, but Paul Annacone has always been kind of the Federer-esque type coach for many, many, many years. Annacone is not really going to get amped up about this or really drawn to the negative about that. Paul Annacone has always been a coach that kind of wants just to keep plodding along. Just keep plodding along. You know, let's emphasize the positive and let's emphasize the negative, but let's kind of stay kind of right in the middle and let's analyze and let's
he's got good strategies.
Yeah, he has great strategies. He has a great way of commentating in the game of tennis as well. I think that he is equally as good as that as he is in coaching. But he has a good energy about him, and not to the extreme of the positive and not to the extreme of the negative. But Annacone kind of just hangs there in the middle and is a good positive influence on your entire camp. He's not going to stir up the pot. He's not going to make a mess of the place. He is going to give the player the mindset that I have an elite coach now, and now maybe I should play like an elite player. My only thing with Taylor Fritz teaming up with Annacone in terms of will it make him an elite player? I think Taylor Fritz is 42 in the world right now.
Yes, he's 21, about 42 in the world.
He's 21 years of age, 42 in the world. I think his career high rating was somewhere around 40. But my question mark is what is this? I mean, how far does this go?
It could go far, Justin. You never know. We've had, Pete Sampras, when he won his first U.S. Open, it was 1990?
Talk a little quiet there. I can't quite hear you.
Oh, I can hear myself. Maybe you need to clean your, I don't know.
I gotta clean my ear out?
Maybe, I don't know.
She's like whispering in my ear. Maybe you heard that, maybe you didn't.
Maybe he needs a sandal, I don't know.
Do I need a sandal? I gotta pull a plug out of my ear? It just feels like she's whispering in my ear.
Pete Sampras won in 1990. He was 19. None of us really knew who he was. Didn't Federer win when he was, 21? So Taylor Fritz got a late start. He comes from two parents that were tennis players. His mom was top 10 in the world. Her name is Kathy May Fritz. She had 7 WTA titles, singles titles, so that's not bad. And his dad played a lot of junior Grand Slams, and he was also a tennis professional. And in 2016, he was hired as the U.S. Olympic Coach of the Year. Development Coach of the Year. So he comes from a tennis family, and I think he can go far in tennis.
Is it safe to say, though, that Taylor Fritz, and we're going to kind of morph this into a second topic here and use this kind of as a cornerstone building into the second topic. Is it safe to say that Taylor Fritz comes from very deep pockets? Just answer the question. Is it safe to say?
Yes, I saw his mom lives in Beverly Hills. I can't imagine that's cheap to live in Beverly Hills.
Anyway, we're not going to go off on that tangent, but it's safe to say that Taylor Fritz comes from very substantially secure, economically pockets.
I think you'll start doing better than Tiafoe.
Well, I'm not talking about Tiafoe. I would agree with that. I think he already is better than Tiafoe. Well, but that's not saying very much.
Right.
But let's take a step back in a second and let's ask this question. Is this simply super rich family that hires a coach, hoping the best for their family and grandchildren and etc.? Is Taylor Fritz even that great of a player? Look at me. I'm 6'1" and 150 pounds. If I paid the best boxing coach in the world to come teach me to box to beat Manny Pacquiao, would I have a chance ever?
A coach can give you the tools, but if you don't have the desire to do it or willing to dig, then no, I don't think it'll make a difference.
Oh no! Wait a minute. Forget about the desire here for a second. Let's repeat that. Let's say I go out and hire the best boxing coach in the world and for millions of dollars. Would I ever in my entire life have a chance of beating Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Mike Tyson, you name it? Would I have a chance?
Okay, I have to say here, anybody can beat a great athlete any given day. Any given day. It doesn't matter who you hire. So would it make a difference technically? No, I don't think so. I think
No, wait a minute. There is no given day on this earth that we live on where I would have a chance of beating anyone.
Not at your age right now.
Oh, so now you're calling me old?
You haven't trained for boxing. You're saying if we take a kid and we give him the best coach, you can't put yourself. We take a kid and we give him the best coach. Could he have an opportunity of, let's say, being a Roger Federer is a better...
Oh, not if they're not the perfect fitness specimen, physio, mentally, not unless they have a champion package to go along with that.
Some people have to be given those two. Some people blossom later in life. There are people like Federer, Serena, who had those special things that you don't have to find or don't have to show them. They already had that in them. I don't think Taylor Fritz is going to be in the top 10. No. I don't think he'll be like Roger Federer, Sampras, or Hewitt, or anyone like that. But he can have a good career like Isner.
First and foremost, Taylor Fritz is a very fine young man. We followed him for a couple of years now. Family
He's
man.
improved.
Much love to this young man, by the way. Young father, I know the feeling 5 times over. I know it's difficult. I know it's tough. There's nothing I see, though, about Taylor Fritz in his game now, or even if you added Annacone, Agassi, Federer, and any other coach, Cahill, onto his team at one time. I do not ever see Taylor Fritz being a top 5, top 10 player, nor ever winning a major. Does anyone disagree? I don't care how deep anyone's pockets are, and we're going to get into why it's important these days, unfortunately, to have deep pockets to do anything in tennis. Hence, going to be our second topic, and this has nothing to do with playing tennis at the local club or learning how to play. I'm talking deep pockets in terms of taking the sport to the elite level of playing at international tournaments with top-notch coaches such as Annacone and so forth. And we're going to get into that.
Well, but he's in the top 40, so that in itself is an accomplishment.
It's a great accomplishment.
Just saying.
It's wonderful.
Especially men's tennis.
If you're top 40 in the world, though, and you don't have rich parents, you're still dead broke if you're traveling the way he is.
So you think you're still broke at being in the top 40?
Well, if
in the top 40?
In the top 40, okay, give me another top 40.
Isn't he sponsored by Nike?
I think so, but I'm sure it's not some max contract. I'm sure it's not some LeBron James or Jordan contract of $100 million a year.
But
I'm sure he gets free equipment.
I'm sure he's not struggling like some players
are.
Well,
sure, but if your parents are from Beverly Hills, I don't think you're struggling either way.
Okay.
Because simply the real estate in Beverly Hills per square inch is, gee whiz, more than I've seen in my lifetime. And I know because I'm from Southern California, we had to move out because it was too expensive in the early 80s.
I think he can have a very good career. He can have an Isner career. Never know.
I don't even think Taylor Fritz will have an Isner career. That's a great poll question. Great poll question. Will Taylor Fritz have a career better, the same, or less than John Isner? I say less, and I would say...
Well, add it there so you can add it.
Well, I'll put it in comments.
Oh, okay.
I would assume, and assumptions are always wrong, I would assume that Taylor Fritz doesn't have anywhere near the career as John Isner. If John Isner was Fritz's height, I think Fritz is actually like 6'4", I think.
That's a good height.
But,
so he's Severv's height, Tsitsipas height.
Anyway, again, that's a great poll question, and we'll end this topic on that. Will Annacone make a difference with Taylor Fritz? Again, no disrespect on a personal level, but from what I see from Fritz from a player's perspective, I don't think it's all that great, and I don't think the greatest of coaches times 10 can make it any difference. Maybe he jumps into the top 25, top 20.
He could be like a Madison Keys.
Fair enough,
okay.
But even that's a stretch. 14 in the world, Madison Keys got in the top 10,
well,
didn't she?
she's a woman. If she was playing men's tennis, it would be a bit different. Her game would not do well. So.
All right, so again, the young man is still too soon to tell. Was bageled in the second set today. And how Germany 7-6, 6-0 in the second by Bautista Agut. It's still too early to tell with Annacone making a difference. Again, I don't think it will.
Okay.
Topic number 2, moving forward. This is my title of the topic, and this is where our title of the topic, and we will tell you where this topic kind of generated from, okay? Topic number 2. These days in the sport of tennis, at the highest levels, not talking about learning the game, picking it up, learning to do ups and downs for it. I'm talking at the highest level. Traveling, coaches, entourage, everything. Okay? Room, board, food, you name it. Is there any luck these days in the sport of tennis involved in becoming a multi-million-dollar successful tennis player? And is it easier to do so coming from deep pockets? Repeat, these days in tennis, is there luck involved in becoming a multi-million-dollar successful tennis player?
Yes.
And is it easier to become that nowadays if you come from deeper pockets?
Sure, because you can travel. Absolutely. It's luck, and you have to have the money for it because traveling is expensive. Coaching is expensive. Lodging is expensive.
4 pages of notes. 4 pages. Okay? Where does this topic come from? Okay? Carla and I came across an article, and this was titled Pulling Up the Ladder. Pulling Up the Ladder, and it was written by Stephen Tynor. And this month's edition, July-August edition of Tennis Magazine. A very well-written piece. Much respect to the author here that was trying to relay to everyone that had a chance to read his writing that the tennis world has always been tough, and it has gotten a whole lot talked about this since we started this show. Since we started it, we've gotten grief from other people, whatever, and we've gotten a support from the other side of it. This article is very correct, and I think now is a perfect opportunity to reiterate how tough the tennis world has gotten, and the lives or some of the things that have occurred in Carla and myself's own lives as we have dealt with the same thing when it was easier than it is now, okay? So this article, Pulling Up the Ladder by Stephen Tynor in the current edition of Tennis Magazine, the flavor of it was this. This day and age in tennis, the ease or the ability for players to get into certain tournaments, such as futures, such as challengers, has come much more difficult. Much more, okay? Let me tell you why this has occurred, and we have talked about this before on shows, I think like towards the end of last year at length.
Someone asked, there's been a couple of viewers, what do you think of the new rules for challengers?
This even funnels into the Davis Cup regulations being changed. This even funnels into the World Team Cup that's been postulated. This even spills into the Laver Cup, but we won't get into all that stuff. Let's just talk about why it's harder right now to be a tennis player. Okay, at least a successful one that can make a living doing it, okay? Number one, in 2013, now the gist of these statistics come from this article, by the way, so again, paying respect to the gentleman that wrote the article. In 2013, out of 14,000 players on the men's side alone, okay, out of 14,000, only 600 could afford basic costs, travel, expense, entry fees, places to sleep, most of them sleeping on, some stranger's couch simply to be there, airplane tickets, blah, 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 blah. 600 of 14,000, okay? More than half of the 14,000, so 7,000 plus, never earned one dime of prize money, okay? Think about that. If you have to catch a plane flight, spur of the moment from point A to point B, and it's $600 round trip, you got to get home, and you don't have a dime, how do you get there? If you don't have a dime, that means you have no sponsors or no one to help in a sense, unless you got a shoe deal that's just like, hey, you can wear my shoes if you want, but you're not getting capital income from that. How do you get there? Parents, private school donors, wherever you come from, neighbors that noticed you or whatever. Hence is why we talk about is there's some luck involved. Because if you don't have deep pockets from a parental standpoint or within the family standpoint, how are you going to travel from point A to point B if you don't have a dime?
It's tough.
You can't.
It's tough. I can tell you from my own experience when I played a challenger it was in North Carolina. My ex-coach, Wesley Baptiste, we were in West Palm Beach. My parents didn't have much money. We went to get some money from my mom. I think she gave me $100 because that's all we can afford. And we had to drive all the way from West Palm Beach to North Carolina, pay for the entry fee, pay for a hotel, and pay for our food. Very expensive. You can't survive. You can't. And if you don't win, well, you're just in the negative now. So it's very tough.
And no in this day and age, especially currently, I mean, maybe in the 80s, 90s, when we were coming up, it was easier to get by, I guess you could say, with less, but now it's even hard to get by with a lot more. But let's freeze it right there, okay? You can't travel if you don't have capital. You can't pay coaches if you don't have money. You just can't, okay? So moving forward, though, let's think about where this puts the players, especially the young men and women in the sport that get approached by people that match fix matches, betting schemes, conspiracies, etc. Because of the large amount of players that are not making any money or were not when this study was done, the breeding grounds for match fixing became prominent. Young players don't have a dime. They can't even get a hotel room. They're asking someone to sleep on their couch and begging a taxi cab for a ride. Our approach, hey, throw this match and I'll pay. You'll have enough money to travel. Of course they're going to take it. Look, I'm not going to get into the mistakes I've made in life, but some have been for easy money. I mean, I'm guilty. But at the same point in time, you got young men, young women traveling around, and they're broke and they're distraught, especially now with people getting slammed on social media. All this stuff's going on in their head, and they get approached for easy money. What's going to happen? 8 out of 10 times, young, naive kid ranked 2,500 in the world and gets here's 10 grand if you throw the match. What's going to happen? Is anyone going to bite on that hook? It's like fishing, you know? It's like fishing.
Yeah.
Someone's going to bite.
I can see why it's tempting, sure.
With that said, the ITF began to streamline tournaments. In other words, to alleviate some of the tournaments, getting the prize money from the alleviated tournaments, putting the prize money into the tournaments kept. Therefore, the players that make it can make extra money so they can make a living and therefore maybe have less match fixing, etc. Good idea? Maybe. Maybe. However, doing this spread tournaments out. So let's say we play a global sport. You have 10 tournaments in between. Let's say there's like 100 or more. But let's say you have 10 tournaments between California, across to the East Coast, say New York, all the way across to Europe, Northern Europe, Russia, Asia, etc. Say you have 10. Now you have, let's just say 4. Just making it easy mathematics. So you went from 10 spanning the globe to 4. Now if you're some kid in local Chicago that used to have a tournament in South Carolina, California, Washington State, you can skip down to, this place and that place, but now you only got a sprinkling of that. Let's remind everyone how these young futures and challengers players even get into these tournaments. A lot of them won't even know if they are making the qualification or the draw to the qualies until the last minute.
Right, because you have to wait till somebody pulls out.
Exactly. So in this article in this magazine referenced, respectively, there's a perfect example of what Carla and I have always tried to relay to all of you on how tough it is now to be a successful tennis player. There's a perfect example. There's a kid in, say, I think he lived in like Cleveland, or he had to go to a tournament in Cleveland. He had to pay $500.
He lived in Orlando. And had to pay, he was a number one in Illinois University or something like that. Lived in Orlando. Had to go to Cleveland, Ohio for a tournament. He found out he made it the last,
Yeah, so he went from Orlando to Cleveland, 1,500 miles, maybe 1,200, something like that, give or take. Doesn't even know if he's in it yet. $500 is in the bank, or spent out of the bank, and it's still a gamble in a sense. He gets into the tournament. Thank goodness, okay?
Well, that's why he took the plane, because he got into the tournament.
Yeah, so he gets to the tournament and wins all of his qualies matches. Gets into the main draw, wins 3 rounds, okay, and then loses in the 4th round, and takes home, I think, around a $2,000 check. Subtract the $500 away from that for the plane ticket. Okay, subtract your food, your lodging. Most people are just, hey, can I sleep on your couch, please? I'll teach you how to hit a forehand or something. It's a give and take type trade in the dangerous world we live, risky in of itself. But let's take taxes, room, board, lodging away from that, and obviously any coaching fees. What are you left with? Basically nothing. Right. Zero. Nothing. Period. But before the player would have the opportunity to generally, hop up and go fly to the next state over or the next few states over and go catch another tournament and keep trying to pay bills. But now a lot of those tournaments have been alleviated. Not only the tournaments have been alleviated, however, the qualification spots available in futures, okay, and that's kind of like the level before challengers in a sense. Or similar, very similar. Futures and challengers are very similar in a sense, okay? The spots for futures went from 128 available to 24. Cut by over 100, 104 to be exact. On the ATP challengers, the qualies, spots available went from 32 to 4.
That's horrible.
Okay? Uncle Tony, Rafael Nadal's longtime coach and family member, has stated himself many times over, if you are not rich, how can you afford to play this game at this level?
Even Janko Tipsarevic did a video also saying that they should be ashamed that they're doing this. They're killing the sport.
Pushing it further, the last person to come through the futures with heavy results was in 2013. This is in the article as well. Make sure I'm stating it correctly, because again, this was really well done by Stephen Tynor. Carreno Busta started in 2013, his rise to the top by winning 7 futures, and he got the points he needed to get to the next level and proceeded forward. Currently, 7 futures wouldn't get you anywhere. Tough enough winning 1 future, 7 of them.
25? I think he said you had
25? Is this type of thing driving everyone but the rich and the wealthy dreamers out of the sport?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
In your life, Carla, how many really, really incredibly good tennis players did you see playing on the streets of New York? Have I seen in California, whether it's at public courts, private clubs, that are extremely good, some of the best players you've ever seen, and we have been around some of the best in the world. How many players have you seen, Carla, that could have been up in the top notches of the world, including your own brother, by the way?
Many.
How many of them?
I've met a lot of people that just didn't get the chance. They weren't noticed.
So would you say, is it fair to say that, including your brother, is there a lot of players on this planet that don't have deep pockets or sponsors or anything, and therefore they are never noticed?
Correct, yes.
So you are saying there is luck involved this day and age?
There is definitely luck. There are some players out there in the WTA Tour and ATP Tour, you have to scratch your head and say, how did they make it? Really? I've seen a lot more talented players than that.
All right, that one gets me amped up. This is a sport we bleed for. We're passionate for. Carla's a great player. I'll stay humble, but her brother is a really, really good player and still is. And unfortunately, there was no notice thereof, and I'll stand behind that till the day that I'm 6 feet under. Though at this rate, who knows? All right. Anyway, so let's just look at this, squashing this topic. Okay. If you can't pay to travel, if you can't buy good equipment, if you can't keep the equipment up to date, grips, strings, right? If you can't afford decent lodging and can't sleep, I think in the article, this kid was saying I was traveling. I don't even remember if I even slept. I just got there and I think I had an hour or two and then I started playing. If you can't sleep decently, you can't play at a high level. If you can't afford to fly from, say, Chicago to Asia to hope to get into a tournament, how do you ever get into one in the first place, given the new setup, right? All I ask at finishing this subject, or all we ask, does anyone think that there is not luck involved in becoming a $1 million successful tennis player currently?
Of course there's luck. Definitely you need luck.
There's a whole lot of luck involved, and I can only hope that the world does become easier, but it won't. It will become harder, and harder. So all you can do is keep your head up, stay positive, and work. Period. Next subject. Carla came across an article today, and come to find out it's a pretty popular one, but she let me know about it. So I'm going to turn it over to her, and it involves a fine young player that just won the French Open being bashed by some buffoon. Carla?
Well, this buffoon is a billionaire, and a lot of you might know him. His name is Ion Tiriac. He was also Boris Becker's former promoter. I'm sure if you guys see pictures of him, you would know who he is. He's a Romanian billionaire. He was a former top 10 player, doubles French Open champion. Never got too far in singles, owns a lot of companies. Well, he bashed pretty much Ashley Barty, the French Open champion. He basically said it was the poorest Roland Garros women's final he had ever seen. He told the Romanian news, GSP, that he walked out of Barty's final and watching the Czech player around the 4th game. Vondrushova. So he left after 4 service games. He is a former mentor for Simona Halep. He said that there was a lot more exciting players than Ashley Barty, and that he could not believe what Martina Navratilova said, that she would win Wimbledon and that she would give hard time to top players, that she is the next big thing.
Where's this dude from, Romania?
He's Romania. He is from Romania. They used to call him Count Dracula, I guess where he came from. But he's had a lot of players under his belt as agents. I mean, who is this guy? I mean, I've seen pictures of him. Yes, he's done a lot in tennis for other players. but he didn't even win a singles Grand Slam. At least Ashley Barty won a singles Grand Slam. He also says that in Australia, any player that comes from there, every time someone comes from Australia, they come out with a technical knowledge from A to Z.
Well, good for them.
What is wrong with that?
It's a great thing.
Yeah, I don't get his whole thing, but
one of my favorite players of all time, Patrick Rafter.
Yeah, I don't know why he's complaining about that. Maybe he's upset because
Ivan
didn't get
Gulinov.
far. It's not Barty's fault that the top seed players lost. You know, she did what she had to do to get there. And I didn't like Ashley Barty at the Australian Open, but after watching her at the French Open, you know, I said, you know, a lot of our viewers are right. She can slice. She has variety in her game. She's very strong mentally. You never see her get mad. You know, she's a nice, pleasant player to watch. Shame on this guy for saying it.
Man, it sounds like this guy. What was his name again?
Ion Tiriac. I'm sure if you guys pop up a picture of him, you'll recognize him.
Look, for me, two things. Number one, it sounds like Ion Tiriac got into the suds a little too deep. I think he hit that vodka. A little too quick coming out of the box and got in his box and started shooting off from the hip. Like pulled his sidearm out in a duel and got blasted. It sounds like he set himself up for a disaster there.
Does.
First and foremost.
He currently manages Lucas Pouille. And what I have to say to you is, where's Lucas Pouille? Where is Lucas Pouille?
That's not even. Why would this is kind of like Nick Kyrgios' antics, drawing camera time. Who cares? Look, one of my favorite acronyms that I've ever created. Actually, this one comes from my dad when I was a boy. It's WG, so whiskey, golf, A as in alpha, and S as in Sierra. WGAS. It stands for Who Gives a Bleep? Who cares? This dude obviously stepped into some suds. Obviously, his face was nice and puckered up enough to indicate that he's pouring alcohol out of his pores. Let's just say this guy was a buffoon that deserves no credibility. There's, what's that song? Let's give him something to talk about. Let's talk about love. Whatever. This guy gave someone something to talk about, and now he looks like a buffoon because of it. Barty is a good player. Who cares? Shut up. Next question. Because of an idiot. Worse. Just get out. You had to get up and walk away after 4 games of playing. Good riddance. You stunk up the front row anyway, and everybody had to smell you as you walked in and out, and while you sat in front of them. Goodbye. Next question.
Watch out. He's a billionaire.
Forget his billions. I mean, geez. We struggle daily on pennies. What I mean, so? Who cares? Because you got $1 billion in the bank, you want to talk out of your... Man, whatever.
The reality is that Ashley Barty is what, number 2 in the world now?
Yeah.
Is she number 2 in the world now? And Halep...
I think she's like 4.
4 or 2? Okay, well, Halep has less variety than Barty. Barty has a lot.
Do you have a picture of homeboy on your phone?
He's ugly. Yeah.
You want to show everybody the picture? Show everybody the picture. All right? But look, show the picture, and then I'm going to close this topic. For someone of supposedly his billionaire status and his tenure as being a doubles champion at the French Open, to make some lamb-bashed comment like that shows you he was drunk. He drank too much, period. Because you're not a true tennis player champion if you talk like that about a young lady, especially that plays tennis. Here's your boy. Make that clear now. Zoom in, zoom out. That's your boy. All right. I'm glad you think Barty sucks because it looks like you need to go back to the gym.
Okay.
Next question.
Okay.
Tennis rackets with 2 handles. We're going to spend just a moment on this. Carla and I have, for many years, came across tennis rackets with 2 handles. I think there's even been players that have played in majors with rackets with 2 handles.
Well, they're lower ranked players. There's 2 brothers that have played. Dan
like 2 handles, like this.
They did debut the racket. I mean, there was a racket made like this in the 1980s.
Yeah, don't you have a picture of it?
Yeah, but hold on. This racket was made in the 1980s, designed by Snowart. Snowart.
If you find an old Snowart tennis racket, like the wooden that looks like a graphite racket, kind of pressed with the V in the throat, if you find an old Snowart with a case in great condition, they're valuable, by the way. Just saying.
Well, they were introduced in the 1980s, and John McEnroe was endorsed it, but it never took. So then you had
2 handles, like another handle comes off here.
I'll show the picture.
This is an old classic McEnroe Dunlop, by the way. I just have it on my wall as something that we had. But the handle comes out like this. There's 2 handles on it, like this. Show them a picture. Did they see a clear picture of it?
Yes. So there was two brothers at the U.S. Open that tried it, Dan and Brian Bathstone, and then another player that tried, Trent Aaron. They're allowed to be used. They're not illegal, but these guys didn't get far with these tournaments. They used it in a doubles match. I think they lost in the first round, so it really doesn't take. But I've seen some coaches try to promote these rackets, and not just this brand. I saw that they're trying to make their own, like Prince. I saw this junior baby racket, Prince, and they're trying to do it for what? Amber, how do you say it?
Ambidextrous, being left-handed and right-handed.
Yeah, I just don't see how this would benefit you in tennis. I'm sorry.
So look, my thoughts on this is who needs it? Again, WGAS, Woogus. So if you hear me say Woogus, you know it means who gives a bleep. First of all, luckily for me, I've been around stringing my whole life and weighting rackets and customizing them for other people. I have a lot of passion for that as well. If you have a tennis racket with two handles, you're going to have to either or decrease weight from, say, the head and add it to the grip. So what you're going to end up with is a light, heavy racket that's the same. Let's say most tennis rackets are between, for an adult, 9.2 ounces for a light version, 11 and 12 for some of the heavier ones for an adult version. Federer plays with a heavier racket, whereas, Nadal or someone plays with like a 10.6 pure Aero Pro unstrung, right? So maybe 11 two-strung, somewhere in there. So you're going to have to keep the weight the same, because there's a reason why these rackets are weighted that way. Stress on the shoulder, stress on the arms, what type of strings are going into it. I won't get into all that. But you want to have, some players like to have a heavier head, so they get increased racket speed and more power onto the ball. Some players like to have heavier towards the grip, for different reasons. We won't get into all that. But if you're adding another grip to it, either the racket's going to be extremely heavy on the grip end, or you're going to have to take weight away from the head because you got more weight on the grip, or it's just a really heavy thing first and foremost. So I would think it would be bulky. You got this, you're trying to hit shots. Just think about it, you're hitting a forehand, right? You're not holding both grips at once, I'm guessing, on the design. You're like holding one and then you're flipping it to this hand and hitting that way.
It's stupid.
So it's like you're hitting forehands both ways.
It's dumb.
But think about it, if your textbook ground stroke is to hit, say, a forehand, hit through the ball, come around, boom, follow through, that handle would seemingly hit you in the face. So what are you doing? Shortening up your follow through? If you're hitting now an ambidextrous, meaning righty and lefty, a forehand on this side, here you come. It seems like the handle would just be too bulky. This is nothing new. We used to see spaghetti string tennis rackets. Does anybody remember the spaghetti string tennis rackets? Can you pull up Google spaghetti string tennis racket, US Open? I think they did it in maybe the late 70s. Spaghetti string tennis rackets. There's always a new gimmick that pops up in the world that we live in, whether it's makeup to look good, try this pill so you can lose weight, try this diet so you can be strong again, try this tennis racket, it'll make you play better. Join this ism because it'll make you a better, a more successful person. Do you see a spaghetti string picture? Yes, that's a spaghetti string. Show them the spaghetti strings. And this was the next greatest thing back around when I was a young boy. That's a spaghetti string. So is it clear for them? So that was something that ended up getting banned, if I remember correctly, at majors, because when you hit the ball, the spaghetti strings would move everywhere and it would throw a wicked spin on the ball and it became unpredictable. Anyway, I think this is just another shenanigan, and this is a shenanigan that we read an article about earlier today, but we had seen it for maybe 20 years, if not longer.
Yes.
No need for it. Who needs it? Moving forward, getting close to the end of the show, let's talk about notable results on grass currently, even though none of the big players are really playing, per se. Notable grass court results. Let's go, Carla.
All right, here we go. Tennis matches. We have Birmingham Classic. Naomi Osaka, your number 1 seed there from Japan, defeated Maria Sakkari in 3 sets. It took her 3 sets, and she'll face off in her next match. Portimao Putintseva.
Ooh. Sounds like Osaka's just getting her feet underneath her. Sakkari's not a bad player.
She probably trying to test the water.
Test the water out
Grass
a
is
little
different.
bit.
I don't see this match, even if it went 3 sets, I don't see it as anything.
Yeah, I don't see
a sign of anything, really.
Yeah, and is it just me, or I don't know if anyone besides us has, we have really gotten caught up with grass court. We took a week off to catch up with lessons and do some stringing stuff and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, but we've gotten back into watching the grass court matches. Is it just me? Is it just us, Carla? Or does
I think Jonathan said the same thing.
Or does anyone else think that the grass courts ongoing right now are extremely slow to the point of playing like clay?
It is slow. We watched Raonic and Tsonga play at the Mercedes Cup, and those courts were fast, and the sound of the ball was different from here, from Birmingham Classic. It's just completely different. I don't know.
We've watched a lot of matches here in the past few days. I will say that one match that played extremely fast was Tsonga playing
Raonic in Mercedes Cup.
That match played extremely fast, and a testament to both of those gentlemen, respectively, Tsonga and Raonic, being extremely good on grass. Would anyone choose Milos Raonic or Jo-Wilfried Tsonga on their fantasy team for Wimbledon?
No, you need to be careful Raonic because he cannot compete in the semifinal of that tournament due to injury. So I'd be careful picking him, Raonic.
Who got injured?
He didn't play his semifinals match.
In the last tournament?
In the last tournament, yes.
Okay.
I'd be careful picking that. Although we saw a fun match today with Tsonga and Pierre.
Has anyone seen a picture of Milos Raonic's girlfriend when she gets upset or gets intense? Can you look that up?
Oh, come on.
Look up Raonic's girlfriend's intensity stare. When Raonic plays and this girl gets wrapped up into the match, man, she can get like, what? Really like this girl's energy. But the courts seem extremely slow, especially at the Mallorca Open, which is a grass court facility in Mallorca, which is coincidental that Rafael Nadal is training there. I thought for a second maybe because Rafael Nadal is the king of clay, maybe he has the grass thicker there, and some conspiracy theory to make the courts play slower like clay. However, I don't think that would help out his preparation for Wimbledon. So I don't know why the courts are playing ridiculously
I can't find
slow.
it. So.
Just put Raonic's girlfriend
I can't find it.
Reaction at the U.S. Open or something.
Okay.
I think it was the U.S. Open or Wimbledon. I can't remember. But it just seems like the past week of tournaments has been a little slower than normal on grass. Does anyone... Oh, did you find it? Let's go.
Oh, gosh.
Here we go. This is Milos Raonic's girlfriend when times get tough. Yes. There you go. Looks like my mom and dad when I was a kid.
But my dad going.
Shoot, my dad would throw chairs. He'd be like, "How did you hit that in the net?" Pick up the chair, throw the chair. Tournament director's talking about, "Hey, he's got to go." I'm like, man. Chairs going, fences rattling. What the heck? What's going on out there? And I'm like, not looking.
Oh man, I can't imagine having a girlfriend or a boyfriend looking at me like that. I'd be like, whoa. Anyways, Yelena Ostapenko defeated Iga Swiatek 6-0, 6-2.
That's YTEX. This one goes out to everyone that picked Swiatek for your fantasy teams last tournament.
Watch out for her in grass.
That was Dead Seville. Do not pick her. Dead Seville, Casper. I don't have the fantasy team results are there. You don't have to get them though. But Swiatek was dealt the bagel today by Maya Ostapenko.
Yeah, and she'll face Johanna Konta in the next round.
Hey, that's a good match though. Konta Ostapenko. I'm excited about that one. That's going to be the first grass match that I don't go back and watch recorded. I'm going to watch that one. I can't wait for that one. Ostapenko, let's not we forget, she won the French Open in 2017. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is off the top of the head, but I think she made the semifinals in Wimbledon in 2018. Is this a sign of good things to come from Ostapenko, or was it just a really vulnerable young Swiatek?
All right, next match was at the Mallorca Open. Maria Sharapova is back, and she looked very strong. She didn't look like her slim self. She had muscles, thick. She looked healthy.
And her screech was louder than ever. Her screech sound practiced and rehearsed. So she screeched really loud. Other than that, I could care less about watching Maria Sharapova play. Not a fan. Look, I know she can play. I know she can win. I know she can win majors. Been there, done that, seen it, and got the t-shirt. However, I'm not a fan. Her screeching is the worst thing. I would rather have all 5 of my kids go and put a chalkboard, an old school chalkboard. Do they even have chalkboards in schools anymore?
No.
And all 5 of them line up and stick their fingernails on it and just like for 6 hours, and I just had to sit there and lap it up, and I had duct tape on my mouth so I couldn't tell them to quit. I would rather go through that than watch Sharapova or Victoria Azarenka hit one tennis ball.
Wow.
Freaking awful.
She defeated Victoria Kuzmova 7-6, 6-0, will face off Angelique Kerber, who defeated Yasline Bonaventure, who took her 3 sets. So I'm going to actually watch that match. Sharapova Kerber, that's a good match for Sharapova. I mean, we could see how she's going to do on grass court.
I don't want to say something without making sure that I say this professionally. Within the couple of days, Carl and I have watched a couple of matches that involved two female players that seemed, and I'm saying this from a tennis player standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, that seemed extremely out of shape, to the point of I'm worried about who is in their corner, who is on their team, how far can they go in these tournaments, and I'll name the young ladies, and we wish them both the best. One of them was Bonaventure, that played Kerber today. Great player. What is she? She's from Belgium, I think. Bonaventure, Belgium. I think she's from Belgium. Anyway, but she seemed extremely out of shape. No disrespect, but I mean, from a coaching perspective, she seemed extremely out of shape. Now, that's just one person. The other young lady that we watched play and won her match was Rodina. I haven't seen too much of Rodina. I've seen her a few times over the years, but Rodina seemed not just a little bit out of shape, but tremendously out of shape. My positive feedback for both these young ladies, especially Rodina, is to try to get...
Rodina's 30 years old already.
Does she have? Is there pictures in her track record from when she was younger to now? And not that it matters, because this is a sensitive topic. Carla, do you want to talk on this topic? Because I don't feel right about it, but I think if anybody saw the matches, they would agree. She was not being funny, out of just being worried.
She was in better shape when she was younger, obviously. But Rodina, to me, I could not believe she was playing professional tennis. She was overweight. You know, usually when a woman wears a tennis outfit and they're professional players, you look at them. Professional athletes need to be fit. They need to play the part. I mean, that's why you're a professional athlete in any sport. There's no way you should be overweight. She looked heavy. Her face looked puffy. I was shocked she even beat, who did she beat? Mladenovic. I would have been upset if I was Kristina Mladenovic and she beat me.
Yeah, and this isn't meant to be funny.
It's not funny. It's actually worrisome.
It's worrisome. This isn't something to pick or prod or to poke fun at, believe me. But at this level...
It's different when you retire from tennis and you put your hard work and whatever, you want to live life and you don't care.
Like Marion Bartoli, in a sense. You know, we see her
she's gone through her struggles.
And I think it hurts your heart to see some of it, but at the same time, we wish the best for these young ladies, because life is really tough out there. And when we let ourselves get to that point of out of shapeness, it will take its toll at one point in time. Not meant to be funny, not meant to be poking fun. In all due seriousness, when we coach young kids, we coach kids from very young to senior adults, and every child or senior or everybody in between that comes out, we always say when they leave, do not spoil this good workout with some crap diet, crap food, cigarette, whatever it is. Don't do it. We always say it.
All right, next match was Carolina Garcia, who beat Azarenka in 3 sets, and Anisimova also wins. On to the men's. ATP, Halle. Roger Federer beats Millman, gets his revenge back, wins 7-6, 6-3. By the way, a lot of you guys got on us about that's not true, that Roger Federer will be number 2 if he wins Halle. Well, I will put
He will be.
He will be. They did it by points. I found many.
Yes. Who told us we were wrong about that? Somebody.
Someone.
But we weren't wrong.
And Wayne Chia has sent me this information, and he gave me some articles, and I looked for it myself. And yes, if he wins number 2, if he wins this tournament, he will be the number 2 player due to points, because Nadal is not playing any grass court tournaments. And the seating is different at Wimbledon.
Yeah, so we
and it's around/tennis.com. You can see that information there. I'll put the article.
Yeah, now again, we made a statement that if Roger Federer won Halle, he would be the number 2 seed at Wimbledon.
And it's important
not number 2 in the world.
No, number 2.
Number 2 seed at Wimbledon.
Yes.
They have different seeding makeups at Wimbledon. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that the previous year's champion is always number 1. And then they fill in the draw based upon points, etc. And every major has slightly different...
They have different rules.
So if Roger Federer does win Halle, Germany, he will be the number 2 seed at Wimbledon. We were not incorrect about that.
Because Nadal did not play any grass tournaments.
And that would mean that Roger Federer would be on the opposite end of the draw than Novak Djokovic.
Which is important for him.
And then the 3 seed as well should be up top. So Federer should have an easier time at Wimbledon if he wins Halle.
Yes.
Fact.
Tsonga beats Pair 6-4, 7-5. We watched an awesome point of soccer, right?
Oh yeah, they
I
were
think
kicking the
Pair
ball around.
served, his racket kind of
Slipped out of his hand,
and they started kicking the ball. And then Pair did a neat trick with his blonde hair, which I don't like, by the way. Go back to your hair color.
Well, he's always had the silver or blonde hair.
Yeah, I prefer the silver.
Look, I thought it was a cool moment. The soccer ball or football skills after Benoit Pierre's racket flew out of his hand. Now, I must give props to Benoit Pierre here. I've only broken one tennis racket in my life, and it was not on purpose. The same thing, serving. It was about 100 degrees out. Racket flew out of my hand, skidded across the ground, picked it up, and it was cracked. So I know the feeling, but for him to have the racket fly out of his hand and then to carry on a really good point with Tsonga with the feet, like kicking the ball over the net and like getting it, bouncing off the head and then kicking it back, I thought it was incredible.
He did like an amazing kick.
That was amazing.
But so Tsonga will meet Federer, and that should be an interesting match to watch, a fun match to watch.
As long as it doesn't look like the Wimbledon, I can't remember the year, 2013, 14, maybe it was 2011, somewhere in there where Tsonga beat Federer. After Federer being up 2-0, as long as it doesn't look like that, it'll be a good match.
Struff defeated Jiri, just some matches, and Berenti's doing good on grass court. He beat Bashvili. Okay, Queen's Club. We had Anderson who sneaked right through Nori in 3 sets. We hadn't seen him in a long time due to injury, elbow injury.
Irrelevant.
And Tiafoe loses another first-round match.
Irrelevant.
Cilic beats Garin, and
that's a good match.
The rest of the matches that we're supposed to play today, like Del Potro, Shapovalov, were canceled due to rain, so they'll resume tomorrow.
Yeah, we're not rushing. I mean, we'll get done. We'll just speed it up, and it sounds
That's
like garbage. All right. You got a little rapid fire there with your yeah.
Oh, by the way, he
spoke so fast I couldn't even understand it.
Did he not miss question 9? That's what happens when you speed up.
Well, I couldn't. It sounded like you were talking Spanish, but you were talking English because you were talking so fast.
Man, just because I'm from New York.
To New Yorkers.
Yeah.
All right, real quickly, we read an article, multiple articles, that Daniel Medvedev with the likes of Nick Kyrgios do not like the top players in tennis. Daniel Medvedev went insofar as to saying when he was a boy, he hated Roger Federer, quote unquote. So Medvedev hates Roger Federer. Can you believe that?
Shocker.
That's a shocker. The guy that beats everyone and has beaten everyone for a very long time. Can you imagine people wanting to tear him down?
Sounds well, he says that now he doesn't care. This was when he was younger.
Oh,
and then we had Tsitsipas say that this is boring to watch the top 3 guys win all the time. I think I've said this before. You know, I would like to see other players win Grand Slams. I think that boring probably is the wrong word, but he did say that the younger generation has to work harder and that he's the one that's going to do it.
Yeah, everything I've read about Tsitsipas on this topic was positive. Him saying, yeah, it is boring. In other words, this is Tsitsipas's take. Yeah, it is boring watching Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer win everything. But that just tells the younger players like myself that we need to practice more and work
it was good
harder.
What he said, yes.
However, the Medvedevs and the Kyrgioses went full off into left field, onto the bad boy side, indicating I hate this guy.
Yeah,
I can't wait to play him. I can't wait to beat him.
Kyrgios said, Novak's determined to win one more since I beat him the last time. And they are all motivated in general to beat me. I'm one of the best grass court players. Yet he lost his first round in the last Grand Slam tournament.
It's fair enough that
grass tournament.
Yeah, it's fair enough to say Nick Kyrgios dislikes Novak Djokovic a lot.
Yes.
It's safe to say Nick Kyrgios dislikes Rafael Nadal a lot, and it's safe to say that Nick Kyrgios is scared of talking bad about Roger Federer. He knows his overall wealth in the game, and he gets it to not attack Roger Federer as he is not. But he is the only person out of the both of those that has a winning record against him, right? I think Kyrgios and Nadal are squared up, like 2-2. I think Kyrgios has never lost to Djokovic. I think, but I think Federer is 2-1 against Kyrgios. So hence, I guess, the respect. So, does this change any of your minds about the young Daniil Medvedev? I read that and I was like, I can't believe Medvedev he's not even that great yet. Would go off and lambast against the best players, especially Roger Federer, saying, I hate this guy. I didn't expect that. What are your thoughts on that? I'd say it's a bunch of crybabies, and if the crybabies want to stop crying...
It's 2-1. On Novak, so that's why he says that Novak wants to be.
Yeah, so 2-1, Kyrgios to Novak. Mm-hmm. What's Federer Kyrgios? Do you know? I think it's the same. Maybe wrong. Maybe it's 2-0, Federer. But I think that these players need to stop crying. If you're so disgruntled about they get so bored of seeing the top players win, what does that say about yourself? Does that say you need to work harder? Is it saying you weren't born with it? Is
5-1.
5-1 Federer?
Yeah.
Woo! All right. But what is it saying about these young kids that are talking, I hate this guy, tired of seeing, you're a pro player yourself right now, and you can't come in and beat them? You're like 15 years younger. What are you doing? So cry all you want. We'll guess. Who gives a bleep? Keep crying all you want.
But you always keep picking Kyrgios.
I think Kyrgios has. I think Kyrgios has a chance at Wimbledon because of his incredibly fast and generally consistent serve and his ability to change things up. As long as Kyrgios can stay cool, and I'm sure the Wimbledon tournament directors and organizations have told Kyrgios by now, hey buddy, this is a prestigious tournament. If you're not even dressed in all white, we'll kick you off the court. If you act like a buffoon, we will kick you off the court. Don't do that here. Does anyone doubt that Wimbledon has already taken that up with Kyrgios and his team behind closed doors?
Probably.
Do you?
But I'm going to say this. I think Taylor Fritz will go further than Kyrgios in grass.
I'll take that bet. Lock it in. Boom. You heard it right here. She just write that down. Said Taylor Fritz would go further than Nick Kyrgios at Wimbledon.
Absolutely.
I'm in on that. I'm in on that action. Give me that. Give me that. I want that. I want that. Oh, I got to write this. I'm in on that action. I'm in. You got it? Yeah. Remember, that's on the bet list. Bet list, Kyrgios. I can't wait for that.
I can't wait to. I'm so tired of hearing Kyrgios, really.
I think Kyrgios has a chance to go deep at Wimbledon. I can't believe
I hope in the first round they give him Federer.
I hope they give him Fritz. Shoot. Crazy on that.
Let's give him Djokovic, guys. Give him Djokovic in the first round.
Man, I don't even know where. Women are from Venus, men are from Mars. Does that look good? Because you're definitely from
Rahesh, I think you agree with me.
Whatever. Fritz going further than Kyrgios. I hope that's a first round match.
He said a few days ago that Tomic would go deep.
What are you talking about?
Anyways.
What is that? It's the worst bet you've ever made in this whole show.
I'm confident.
That's the worst bet.
Confident.
That's the worst bet you've ever made.
That guy is a loser. Confident.
You just lost.
Okay.
Moving forward.
You ready to wear another dress?
I'm not losing a bet this tournament. I'm the king of grass, and I'll take it to the bank.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? So, what kind of bets do I got going on already anyway?
I don't know.
I got a bet that Barty will go further than Anisimova, and I got a bet now that Kyrgios will go further than Fritz. Come on. 12 rapid fire questions, last part of the show.
Miss 'em.
12 rapid fire questions, and I numbered them because I missed one the last two. If you're new to this channel, you must answer all of these questions without thinking. You must type them immediately, and yes, we do check all of your answers. You must type out quickly, blip, 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 without thinking. And if you think too much, just write pass or blank in the question, and then we'll move forward. Are you ready, Carla?
Yes.
Are all of you ready? Do not look at my questions, Carla. You must look in the camera, and you must answer rapidly. Here we go. Question number 1. Is Roger Federer beginning to look like Pete Sampras towards the end of his career?
Yes.
Who was better? Question number 2. Who was better, Boris Becker or Stefan Edberg?
Becker.
I'm going to go with Edberg on that
I
one.
like Edberg better, but Becker I think has more slams.
I wonder what their head-to-head was. It's pretty close, I think. Question number 3, multiple choice. Wait to answer until I read all the multiple choice possibilities. You ready? Here we go. Question number 3. You walk down the street and see a bird with a broken wing while in a hurry on the way to an important event. What do? A. After deep thought, you realize nature must run its course. There's not much I can do. Question B. Or answer B.
My son's laughing.
Stop, pick it up, and do your best to bring it somewhere. Question C. Or answer C. Take a picture, seek help on a social media platform. Okay? Question D. Ignore it and never look back, never having even thought about it. Or question E. Try to snap the wing back in place and toss the bird off the nearest cliff. What do?
I'll be honest. I will probably say A.
Let nature run its course, not much I can do.
I've tried before and it's never worked out, so...
Unfortunately, I think that would be the logical answer.
I've tried before to help out animals, and they just turn out to die.
Yeah, you spend all the time on it, and the cat eats it or something.
I think we've done this before. We've tried to save many birds.
That's a tough deal there. That's a tough one. Think about that question. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Question number 4. Do you agree with Ion Tiriac, the buffoon that ran his mouth pertaining to Barty and Vondrousova, that this year's French Open final was the worst ever?
No, disagree.
Question number 5. Anthony Davis is now with my Los Angeles Lakers along with LeBron James. Are the Lakers now the team to beat in the Western Conference?
I'll say yes, because I like LeBron.
I say no.
Okay.
I still say the Warriors are the team to beat.
No.
And I'm a Lakers fan.
All right.
I think LeBron's too old at this point, and I think Anthony Davis is a big man that needs a point guard, but they just traded off Lonzo. Anyway.
Good choice.
Question number 6. On a scale of 1 to 10, Maria Sharapova's chances of making the final 8 players, in other words, the quarterfinals at Wimbledon.
Her percentage chance?
Scale of 1 to 10.
I'd say a 7.
Okay, I say a 4. Question number 7. If Nick Kyrgios had to have a boxing match against Novak Djokovic, who would win?
Nick Kyrgios.
I'm gonna say Federer will. I mean, not Federer.
You said Djokovic.
I'm gonna say Djokovic will win the boxing match.
I think he'll run away.
There's a difference of a young thug that's kind of been raised with money and just acting the part of being a thug, but he's really a baby, against someone that took practice in bombed out swimming pools.
If it was a mental game, I'd say no. I'd say
Come
Kyrgios.
on, man.
And I don't like Kyrgios.
You gonna tell me that Nick Kyrgios has seen the blood and strife that Novak Djokovic has seen?
No.
You gonna tell me that Novak Djokovic is gonna cower away from a buffoon?
He'd probably be like, I don't want to fight now.
He'll probably be like, I dare that kid to come near me when it counts, because I'll take him to a bombed out swimming pool and show him what's up.
Okay.
Question number 8. If Daniil Medvedev and Roger Federer had to have a sword fight to the death, who would prevail?
Federer.
Souchet. Question number 9. Do dogs actually think? Now let me tell you why I asked this. Number 9. Do dogs actually think? Do you think they prepare themselves to be petted with that little head nod? You think they know they're gonna get a chin pet? When they get a treat, they see a treat, they like want a treat, and they get up on the counter like. Do you think they prepare that? I'm fixing to go bust up on the counter so I can get my cracker. Or better yet, what if they roll over on the ground for the belly pet, like this? Do you think that they know if they roll over they're going to get the belly pet?
Yes.
So you think they think?
Yes, I do. They have feelings, yes.
Question number 10. The most handsome male tennis player ever on the tennis tour. Thinking too long.
Stefan Edberg.
I knew you were going to say that. I thought you might have said Kachanov.
No.
Edberg
beat them all.
I would say Edberg as well. All right, question number 11. The most beautiful female tennis player ever on tour.
To me, it was always Anna Ivanovic.
I wrote that. I wrote Anna Ivanovic, but I did write the lovely Carla, of course.
Thank you.
The lovely Carla.
But I wasn't on the tour, so.
Okay, well, either way, you're on my tour.
Ivanovic, I always thought was very beautiful.
You're on my tour. Me
Thank you.
kicking your butt all the time.
I kick your butt.
Yeah, right. And my name's Carl Johnson.
Okay.
All right, question number 12. Were you impressed with Benoit the Fly Collar Pierre and Joe Wilfred should have won a major Tsongas soccer and football skills while on court?
Yes.
Bonus question. Here we go. Helena Ostapenko wins the French Open in 2017, made the Wimbledon semi in 2018, and dealt a bagel today to Swiatek. Is Helena Ostapenko making the second week of Wimbledon this year?
Yes.
Fantasy team hint. Bonus question number 2. Right off the top of your head, right now, without thinking, who wins Wimbledon, male and female?
Federer, Serena. I'm sorry. I'm going to say the same thing every time.
Federer, Kvitova.
I'd hope she wins too.
Last question. Bonus question number 3. Your favorite car or truck of all time?
I like big monster trucks. I don't have a brand. Just
like
anything
Bigfoot?
Yeah, anything that's a big pickup monster truck.
I'm going to go with a 1979 or 1980 Jeep CJ7, fully restored with a nice straight 6 under the hood.
Okay, obviously you're a guy.
Let's go! That's what I want. I don't care if it's a bucket. I'll drive it and you leave it or love it.
All right, let's go.
All right, ending the show. This is quick and we're done. I'm sure you all thank us for our longest show of the season, but this was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Thank me? Mm-hmm. Shoot. You with that Spanish intro got me all kooky.
All right.
All right, here we go. Quote. I almost said thote again. Thote and quote mixed up in one word is thote. So thote of the day. Here we go. This one comes from Plato, longtime philosopher of many days ago. Here we go. Quote from Plato. Music is a moral law. It gives soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and charm and gaiety, which is basically meaning cheer, to life and to everything. What do you listen to, Carla? What's the music to your wings of soul? What makes you float in the sky when you wake up in the morning? I already know because I hear it every morning. But you want to tell them? She either sings Madonna's in there, like a virgin.
I don't sing like a virgin.
Oh, well, she's not singing it. I'm not saying you're singing it. You're not singing. It's just playing.
80s music.
Yeah, so she puts on like a radio thing and she's playing. It seems like every time I hear a song, it's Madonna.
It's 80s. 80s.
Well,
I love 80s.
Okay, and then I'll get some. Well, there's a type of music that she listens to that's like Spanish rap, but it sounds like it's from Jamaica. Reggaeton.
Yeah.
Worst thing I've ever heard in my life. If I had the chalkboard, nails, Azarenka, Sharapova, squeal, and reggaeton, I would take reggaeton last.
I also enjoy, like, I don't know if any of you've heard BT, Million Stars, techno music. I like that.
I'm out on all that. It sounds like garbage cans being smashed around with Azarenka and Sharapova sitting in the bottom of each as you slam the lid on it. Whoosh, whoosh. Anyway, for me, a little Grateful Dead to make me happy in the morning.
And I think all of us want to smash our faces with that. Right, Chris? We all want to smash our ears when he plays it to go to the tennis court.
Little Grateful Dead, it made me happy-go-lucky.
Oh my gosh.
A little
From
Fish.
Morning to night.
I like Fish too. I'll play some Fish, if the vibe is right. If I'm upset and want to be tough, I'm like, let's get down.
He'll go gangster rap.
I'll throw in like some Tupac, some Mobb Deep, some Wu-Tang. Something along those lines. You go with some Wu-Tang, Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, y'all. Something like that. Shall we get down? But Grateful Dead, Fish, and the others are something that we ride around to. What do you listen to? What makes you get up? When I get up in the morning, I always play a Grateful Dead song, Jack Straw, and I just jam it, Then if I get up on the wrong side of the bed, y'all throw in that, that Mobb Deep or something like that. Anyway, what do you listen to? We would love to hear it. How about the favorite song? Let us know your favorite song. That's it, everyone. Much love to all of you. Stay tuned for the new YTEX gear. Stuff coming up for Wimbledon. Don't forget, we will have our tennis racket giveaway. I don't know if you can see it, but it'll be a Wilson 100S countervail with a 18 by 16. So it's the spin version string pattern. Nice racket, slightly used, but a very nice racket. Stay tuned for that. As always, much love to all of you. Without you, there is no us. Thank you so much for being a part of this and letting us be a part of your everyday lives. And unending thanks. Thank you for Yuri. Thank you to Yuri, I think, was it Yuri Raz, for reminding us to don't forget where we come from. So much love to you. Anyway, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Let's go, Roger Federer. Let's go. And as Carla always says,
adios.
See you next time.